Hello and welcome to another edition of Husker Online Post-Game Live. This is not Groundhog Day. This is Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washut as we sit here trying to figure out what was a very, very tough Saturday for a lot of people in the state of Nebraska as the Huskers fall 27-20 to UCLA here. They've now fallen to 0-7 in opportunities to get to win number 6 under Matt Rule at Nebraska, as they've had 3 in a row this year. They lost all 4 last year. And it's a tough one because this one looked like maybe the best opportunity Nebraska had to get bowl eligible. And we're going to break all this down before we get into that. We hope you are enjoying one because we are right now. We're going to need them. In fact, we've got some reserves ready to go. But the official post-game beverage sponsor of Husker Online Post-Game Live is Zipline. I've got an IPA. Robin's got a dang IPA. Sipple's got a Zip Light. Hopefully you've got a 6-pack yourself and you're going to sit down here and we'll try to get you through this. By the way, they came out with a new flavor, Robin, Winter Alt.
Do you have it yet?
I've not tried it yet.
Well,
so I'm looking forward to trying the newest flavor of Zipline called Winter Alt. It's a winter beer, but tough one, guys, again. And I want to start just the way it started for Nebraska. UCLA ran 21 plays to 3 for Nebraska in the first quarter. Ethan Garbers completed 8 of 9 passes to start the game. They went 4 or 5 on their first third downs. A week ago, Nebraska only gave up 1 third down to the vaunted Ohio State offense. Everything about this game, to me, goes back to the start, because it just never felt like Nebraska had a footing, and it began really from the opening possession.
Right. UCLA put Nebraska on its heels and had them on its heels, for sure, pretty much the entire first half, and then going into the third quarter. And I'm not talking about one side of the ball. I'm talking about both sides of the ball on their heels. What I was thinking when I was walking back, walking to the office from the stadium, it's about an 8-minute, 10-minute walk, is it wasn't that long ago when I was assigned on Sundays to write wherever Nebraska was ranked. And it seemed like Nebraska was trending in the right direction as a program, right? It was after Northern Iowa, after Colorado, in mid-September, it lasted till mid to late September. But now it just seems like there's so many shortcomings to deal with that they feel like they're trending backward. And I'll tell you what happened today, guys. Those shortcomings were glaring in the first half, and Nebraska couldn't overcome them. And I thought the last thing I'd say, Rob, before we get to you, is I would say UCLA did an excellent job. That staff did an excellent job of exposing Nebraska's weaknesses, preparing really well, and taking advantage of their bye week and putting Nebraska on its heels.
Yeah, they exposed and attacked the things that Nebraska has struggled with all season long. Offensively, they did a lot of misdirection stuff. They used the running game out of the quarterback, which you go back since the start of the season, running quarterbacks have given Nebraska problems, especially ones that have that dual threat ability. And, you look at what Ethan Garbers was able to do, that big run on third down, like those are
yards,
back-breaking plays.
Yeah.
Just that he was able to make a player going out and making a play. And then on the other side of the ball, they were just running cover zero blitzes right up the gut and daring Nebraska to beat them on the perimeter. And they got them a couple times, but those couple times were far outweighed by UCLA dominating the line of scrimmage, completely shutting down the running game and making Dylan have to run for his life and completely rattling Dylan Raiola probably as much as we've seen this season. He did not look comfortable whatsoever. It looked like he was just kind of throwing it up and hoping to complete the pass as opposed to throwing balls with authority. And you combine all those things together, that's when you get a long day like we saw today.
Well, you look at that first quarter, they held the football for 13 minutes and 24 seconds of the first quarter.
Ooh, that's remarkable.
And look, it's really easy to say, blame it on the offense, but the offense only had one. They went 3 and out on their first possession.
3 plays.
The defense could not get off the field. And when the defense is not playing at an elite level or a high level for Nebraska, then it looks really bad. I mean, the defense has helped the offense overcome some of these shortcomings at times this year, whether it's pressure on the quarterback, forcing turnovers,
play calling,
third and shorts, fourth and shorts. They bow up in those situations. whatever UCLA was doing, and they had Eric Bieniemy had 2 weeks to kind of look at Tony White a little bit, and
Schemed him up.
they had a good plan early. Now, what's interesting is the second half, how much the scales turned. Nebraska held the ball for 21 and a half minutes of the second half. Nebraska ran 52 plays to 17 plays for UCLA. Now, pick six kind of misleads that stat a little bit, but that game was at a point where if Nebraska had any semblance of an offensive identity, it could have went downhill in a hurry, and they didn't have it. I mean, UCLA was on the field the whole second half, and Nebraska was not able to really take advantage of that.
No, too many things that, like, for instance, for instance, is they get inside that when Nebraska gets in the deep red zone, it just takes so much energy and so many plays.
8 plays inside the 10-yard line to get 7 points.
That's too many, especially when time is of the essence. And you saw some questionable play calls when that series where they came up empty. They had second and goal at the 5. Nebraska had second and goal at the 5, and they threw that kind of very low percentage pass to the corner of the end zone. I don't know. You may be the best you hope for. There's a flag.
Yeah, it was almost like they were playing for a flag because the ball was nowhere near.
Okay, and
catchable.
You remarked in the press box, and I totally agree with you. 2nd and 5 at the 5, just hammer it twice. You got a better chance. It's second guessing. I get that, but it's not really second guessing because we're saying it in a moment too. Just hammer.
It was first guessing. Like the play hadn't even happened yet.
We're second down. They threw a fade in the corner.
Then third down, they tried to throw again, and he got sacked. I believe that's what happened.
And then
no, he was under duress. I'm sorry. On third down, he was under duress and threw incomplete. Blitzed him. And then on 4th down, the right-handed quarterback rolls to his left and is engulfed. And you come up empty. See, here's the thing. I know Matt Rule could say, yeah, but we came back and we had a chance to win. But those things add up. You can't come up empty there. The reason you are playing from behind and the reason why you had to have a near miracle to get to overtime was because of all the things that went wrong earlier. Yeah, it was they showed a certain amount of valor getting to where it did. But I don't know about you guys, but I didn't think they're going to get in the end zone at the end. I thought it would take a near miracle for them to get in the end zone.
Yeah, and even when, they had the ball there and they were marching, and they, especially after they missed that extra point, you were like, okay, even if Heinrich Harburg does lead a game-tying touchdown, what's your faith in this team winning in overtime?
See, that's the problem.
For me, it was 0.
Okay, so that's a problem. So what you're talking about, Rob, and what we're talking about is a lack of trust in this team. Now, that was a lot of the discussion going into this week. Nebraska loses Indiana 56-7, pushes Ohio State, surprisingly, to the limit. Okay, which team is it? Rule, after the game last week in Columbus, Ohio, said, this is the first time I've seen a championship mindset. They didn't show a championship mindset today. No, you don't come on your home field with this much on the line and get and be on your heels the entire first half. That's not a championship mindset. You can try to spin it any way you want. It's not. You won't convince me. That's not a championship.
Because they weren't winning at the line of scrimmage on defense.
No, they weren't on defense. Yeah, they weren't.
You overcome new wrinkles and plays by kicking someone's butt up front and winning up front. And they weren't winning up front, and Garbers was outrunning their pressures early. They got pressure,
he was.
I mean, he had a 57-yard run in the first half. That was the longest run the longest play I think Nebraska's allowed all year.
57-yard. And it was pretty standard stuff. He broke contain. I mean, he went up the middle. He didn't go around the end, but they have to be mindful of his running ability. He had, Garbers is a hot quarterback right now. He came out of the Rutgers game. He threw for 383 yards and ran for 48 in that game. They knew what they were getting. Just didn't do a very good job on him in the first half.
All right. Well, we're going to get into the super chats, guys. We have 53 super chats. A couple of fans on our Husker Online message board were joking, like, who's going to watch your post game? Who would ask questions? We have 53 super chats and about 1,100 live viewers. So
I understand
the real ones,
Sean. I understand fans' frustration.
No, I get it. And look, I took some heat from some people on our own site just by, saying that it was the way Nebraska played as a 25.5 point underdog, that, it wasn't a moral victory, but it deserves recognition. They went in there and played well. And it
does. But that's, Sean, honestly, that's why, due respect, that's why those things are empty.
It means nothing.
It really doesn't. Not for a program. No.
My
It's hard.
frustration, though, is this. It seems like Nebraska plays at the level they think it needs to be each week versus what you just said, championship level.
Right.
Like the Indiana game,
That's a good way to put it. They do kind of
they play what
ebb
they
and flow.
think it needs to be versus what their peak is.
Okay. Now, and the other thing before we get to super chats, some of this is summed up by a saying, and that is one of the biggest hallmarks of mediocrity is inconsistency. And Nebraska's mediocre. They're inconsistent. They just look mediocre. I mean, it's a hard thing for those guys to hear, but that's what mediocrity is. Inconsistency. That's a lot of it.
All right.
That's what a lot of it is.
Before we get into super chats, Husker Online postgame live brought to you by Ellerbrock-Norris. They've been helping Nebraska business owners protect their purpose for over 120 years with risk management solutions built for local businesses. Ellerbrock-Norris partners with you on commercial insurance, group benefits, business exit planning, safety, and more. Start thinking long-term with your business and create a risk management strategy to protect it. Are your employee benefit costs going through the roof? Talk to Ellerbrock. Are workplace injuries skyrocketing your workers' compensation costs? Talk to Ellerbrock. Hoping to retire in the next 10 years and sell the business to family, key employees, or even a friendly competitor? Talk to Ellerbrock. Ellerbrock-Norris is helping you protect your purpose, whether it's your business and the employees in it, your life outside of work, or your future retirement goals. Head to ellerbrock-norris.com/HuskerOnline today to get your free risk evaluation. Thank you to Ellerbrock-Norris for sponsoring us here on Husker Online Postgame Live. All right, we got 57 of them, so let's
do it.
Let's get it going, and hopefully you're drinking your zip lines with us here as we get you through it. But let's go to Roger. Comes at me hard with some heat right away. Sean, when will you call out your buddy Marcus Satterfield? His offense is tanked 2 seasons now. Tired of his failures and excuses made by the media. Even UCLA's 119th pass defense is too much for his unit. And look, I think Sipple brought up a good point. The pressures really are what threw everything off balance. I mean, Dylan Raiola just had a hard time seeing things when they were bringing a lot of exotic pressures at him, among other things.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I remarked to Robin at halftime, it's like they've never seen pressure before. Like or do they not see blitzes? Do they not see? There's got to be answers to those blitzes. It's not, I mean, teams blitz. People, there's hot reads. There's things you can do. There's things you can do against blitzes. You can take advantage of blitzes. It seems like Nebraska they had very few answers. At times, it seemed like they had no answers in the first half, but they had very few answers.
Well, when teams are running cover zero blitzes right at you on every single play, like the ways to beat that are screen passes and being able to take advantage of one-on-ones on the perimeter. Well, they can't block on the perimeter. They're rarely winning one-on-one matchups on the perimeter, and the offensive line is barely giving enough time for routes to develop. So there's only so many things you can do, and those things Nebraska does not do well. So I don't know what the answer is, because I don't know how you combat that, because the number one ways to beat pressure is, those short screen passes that everybody's been lamenting for the last month about this offense. And when you can't do that, you're really hamstrung by how you can even function as an offense.
I don't want to speak for you, but I don't think anybody in this room is taking up for Marcus Satterfield.
No.
Yeah. I mean, it's bad.
Yeah. Nobody is. I mean, that's all. I just leave it at that. That's something that Matt Rule has to address. He'll address it internally. I don't know what he's thinking, but I know it has to be something he's thinking about.
They don't have an identity, and that's the hardest thing to figure out. Like, what is the identity of what they are? They're a 3.5, 4 yards per carry running back offense with, low percentage throws.
We know what I always say this, because Matt Rule is very good about, he lays on the line what he wants to see in his program, and he's very transparent. And we do know what he wants the identity to be, and that is a hard ground game, a hard running back oriented ground game, and use play action off of it. That's an identity. But they can't do it, Sean. So I think that somewhat answers your question, Sean. I think we know what Matt wants, But what do you do when you can't do it?
And that's the biggest frustration, I think, is that you hear what Nebraska wants its identity to be, and then come Saturday, it's anything but that. It's where they're dropping it back and throwing these flailing passes everywhere, and they can't run the ball, and they want to be this hard-nosed, grinded-out football team, and they're getting 2 yards a carry. Like,
although in the third quarter, as you noticed, they got it going. It was almost like you see it at times. In the third quarter, I don't have my play-by-play in front of me, but in the third quarter, remember, they came out with a flurry of runs.
Yeah.
And it was almost like
they ran like 8 straight times.
Yeah.
After the pick 6.
It was almost like Rule said to Satterfield, all right, I don't care if we're down 20-7. We're running. Get it going. Get it going.
Loosen up. I mean, make them.
It's possible Rule didn't say
make
that.
them respect the run.
Yeah, and they had success. So sometimes I think, and I've asked Satterfield this question, or I'll just say it as a statement. A lot of being a good running team is having patience.
Commitment.
Yeah, it's a commitment, and it's a commitment discussion and a patience discussion often. Sean, you guys are old enough to remember watching Osborne's team. Sometimes in the first quarter, you'd be going, I'd look at my dad and say, I don't know, are they going to get the run game going here? And my dad would say, just be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Be patient. It'll happen.
All right.
I don't feel like now those teams are a little different than this one.
All right. If we go this long on
Just a
each
chat.
super chat,
We'll be here till midnight, but I got nothing to do.
We got 60 to go. So we gave that super chat, by the way, to give you an idea of the frustration. It came in at 4:12 p.m.
Hello.
So, I mean, and the next super chat here came in at 4:47. So we had a lot of fans.
I'm sorry. I'll keep it.
Super chatting.
I think that as the super chats come in, we go shorter and shorter.
Yeah. No, that was Michael has 2 there, just a $5 one and a question. Negligent coaching. Say that 5 times. My coaching on offense was excusable last year and earlier when we were 4-0. Now the bill is coming due.
Yep.
When do we start to hold the staff accountable? And look,
who's not holding them accountable?
Yeah, I think that goes without saying.
I don't know what like blowing it up right now would fix. I think that discussion has to come at a more appropriate time.
Right.
Like what? I mean, you're seeing like Purdue blew theirs up, and now their head coach, who's a defensive coordinator, is calling plays on offense. I don't think that is like the answer either.
I don't. Sometimes I wonder, would it make fans feel better if we just came out and said fire Satterfield and some kind of? I mean, does that really make you feel better? Can't you just? I don't quite understand. When are we going to hold Satterfield accountable? We're holding him accountable right now as we speak.
I think they want you though in the post game to be like, Coach Rule, have you considered?
When are you going to fire Satterfield?
Yeah, they want you just to like, be Peter Ducey in the White House press room, skewering Joe Biden.
Right. No, we've each said that we're not exactly throwing our support behind Satterfield. There's serious questions there. They show themselves quite often. And that's all I need to say.
Yeah, and then you also got to wonder, like, what the questions, what responses are they going to elicit? I mean, you already know what Matt Rule is going to say.
Right.
Like, I believe in our guys. There's a process that we're doing. We're trusting that process. And so, okay, then what do you do?
Right.
I don't believe you.
Right. So let's move on.
All right. Adam
Move on.
has a comment here, not really a question. Dylan looks like a sad baby on the field. This coaching staff, both offense and defense, is trash. Matt Rule needs to have a hard look at himself in the mirror to see if his job is for him. Tired of this crap, from Adam Klein.
It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's only the middle of year. Well, now we're getting to the end of year 2, and it's not trending like you want. Again, there's a lot of inconsistency, so you don't want to go too far down the road of this isn't working, because about the time you do that, they'll win next week. I mean,
it's so
because they're so inconsistent.
It's a mash. It's a rugby scrum of 5 to 7 win teams.
Yeah.
And right now, Nebraska is on the bottom of that, and they're trying to fight up a notch.
Yep.
That's where this is at right now.
Yep.
Let's call this what it is. Like, we're not talking about probably 8 wins right now. Like,
probably
we're talking
not now.
about 5, 6, or 7. And Nebraska right now is in this scrum, and they're on the ground getting their face kicked.
I am perplexed by today, guys. I am. I'm perplexed. We'll get to the next one.
Because I don't look at Deshaun Foster as this skilled head coach.
What am I perplexed by? The stats that you talked about at halftime. That's what I'm perplexed by. How do you let that happen on your home field with this happening? And the opponent was fine. It's a decent opponent, but it's not one that should come into your house and go 5 for 6 on third downs in the first half, and let the quarterback, what was he? He was at halftime, guys, 15 for 19 for 149. That's not championship football. That's not championship mindset. That's not what that is. How do you let that happen? How do you let UCLA come in and dictate the game on your home field? That's what I don't understand. I don't. I thought Nebraska would be further along than that. I feel like that's fair.
All right. Mark with the comment, I'm done giving my time and money to a team that doesn't care. And I think that's always what you fear. And it's never happened yet where, you just pull and tug the emotions of Nebraska fans at the level it's happened at. And when is it enough? When are fans going to say, I can't go through this 12 Saturdays a year? It's just like, I'd rather,
it's a lot of money.
Yeah,
I'd rather just be sitting somewhere hanging out. Like it's a lot of emotion and stress. I mean, it's emotional and stressful for us guys. Like, don't think that we're up there like laughing. Like we know like what this show is going to be like after a game like this. We understand what the emotions of the fan base are when a game like today happens.
You pour a lot of your energy into the program, and these days you pour a lot of your energy into trying to figure out what's wrong. And it'd be much more fun if you were trying to write things about what's going right.
Talking about a bowl trip right now.
Right about bowl trips, right about all Big Ten players, right about a lot of recognition, right about Rule being ahead of the curve a little bit in this building process. So no, this is all it's not pleasant. It's unpleasant.
Yeah, and the fact that we're almost completed through year 2, we still don't know what Nebraska is. Like, what is their identity? We know what they think it can be, what they want it to be, but they're nowhere close to that right now. I mean, they show flashes, but the week-to-week inconsistency is absolutely maddening now. And
it is.
Moral victories just don't do it for anybody anymore. So, like, as good as they looked against Ohio State, so what? They were trash against Indiana, and they were awful today.
Yep.
So any goodwill they built in that Ohio State game is gone.
It's gone.
Bob comes into the super chat comment. Team isn't in a better place than what Rule found it in. And, if they go 5-7, I mean, I think that's going to be a valid take by a lot of people because, what would be
6 straight?
That'd be 6 straight losses.
I mean, what would be different than this 5-7 than previous 5-7s?
Not much.
They've had a much more favorable schedule this time around. The way it started out, the way it was set up. And look, Illinois ended up being better than people. Illinois lost to Minnesota today. And Indiana, we know, is a good team. They're 9-0.
Indiana's really a problem for Nebraska fans because Signetti's in his first year. And it's not we always talk about these mental hurdles and all this psychology that has to be overcome. Okay, what's happening in Indiana then? How do you explain Indiana? Are there no mental hurdles there?
Yeah.
They were 3-9 last year.
The idea that the pressure that comes at Nebraska is different than it is any place, like, I just don't buy it. I mean, I know that Nebraska is a crazy place. It's a fanatical bubble. It's the reason why we have jobs. But at the same time, there are other places that have just as much insane expectations and fan bases. I mean, look at Ohio State. You think they're not under pressure?
Oh no, thanks for mentioning to Sean. Just give me a second.
You're good.
Give me a second.
We'll be here till 11.
No, here's what a championship mindset is, and you guys know this full well. You were in that stadium last week. It was tense. That fan base was pissed. Oh, what did Ohio State do today? They didn't say, "Oh God, we never can do enough for these fans, and we get so much criticism. It's so hard. We can't do." Oh, you know what they did? They go into Happy Valley and win. That's championship mindset. That's you know what that is? That's real championship mindset. That's genuine championship mindset. That is impressive because what we saw last week was, I imagine it was pretty scary for that staff. Buckled down, got their guys ready, and went and got a gigantic W.
We used to kind of chuckle, or people didn't like Bo Pelini's approach of the us against the world, but that actually worked here at times.
It did.
We're like, where everybody kind of like the Indiana week where everybody was against you. He would channel that kind of week where the team they would respond.
Sean, you're right, but I don't.
It wasn't healthy though.
It's not a healthy way to approach it.
No,
over a long haul. Maybe once or twice, it's okay. In certain windows of time, it might be okay, but you don't want that to be your ongoing mantra.
When you villainize the base that's making your program what it is,
When
that's
you
a problem.
beat Ohio State and then like go off. Remember the recording after the
Yes.
game where
Not
he went
good.
off after that. But all right, let's go into we did Bob's here. Let's go to Billiken Beef. Rule again loses to a first-year coach. UCLA's unsportsmanlike penalties kept this from being a blowout. It's a good point there, Billiken Beef. It's sad time to move on from Rule. 2 drives for Nebraska were extended, which led to touchdowns, I believe, because of
3 drives extended.
Yeah, 3.
From
All 3 of their
unsportsmanlike.
touchdown drives had UCLA
3
personal
3.
fouls, unsportsmanlike.
Hey, you're starting to see a little bit now. What you're seeing is a criticism shifting more from Foley, Satterfield to Matt. I mean, that's starting to happen a little bit, which is, I mean, it's understandable. Well, he knows why. He understands.
Well, especially a program like his where everything is come back to him. He has his fingers on every part of this program, and so when it always comes back to the head coach, that's especially the case at a Matt Rule program.
I like that about Rule, though.
Yeah,
I like his approach.
I agree.
But when things go bad, I mean, when things go good, he's obviously going to get a ton of credit because of the way he approaches it. When things go bad, it swings the other way.
All right, we're taking super chats here on HuskerOnline Post Game Live. We hope you are enjoying a Zipline beer. We are right now. They're the official.
It's really helping me.
Post-game beverage sponsor, therapy partner to Steve Sipple. These post-game shows. I'm drinking my IPA. I went a little ahead with the 6. You're drinking an 8%er, Robin, aren't you?
Yep.
Going right for the juice. But we're also brought to you by Mando and
oh boy.
Sip. I was at a party last night from a coworker of my wife's, and I heard a lot about Mando and your ads and just how much impact it made. If you're not familiar with Mando, they are a premium provider of deodorants, body washes, all things you could want. And Sip has been using the Mando products, and we've got a great special as well at Mando at shopmando.com. We're going to get you the Mando starter pack. It's already discounted. Comes with the deodorant, cream tube deodorant, plus 2 free products of your choice and free shipping. It's already discounted, but we're going to give you $5 more off the starter pack. You got to use the exclusive code Husker at shopmando.com. That's promo code Husker at shopmando.com to get free shipping, $5 off, already a discounted deal. That's 40% off, and Sip is a believer in Mando.
Your wives will appreciate it. I've gotten comments. It's good.
Little
it's,
TMI.
The scent is excellent. Keep
All
going.
right, let's get into
I'm a big believer in Mando.
Michael Prophet, the Prophet coming in here. There was a lot of excuses 2 weeks ago for 5-2 ball club. Now we're 5-4 and hemorrhaging. Let's call a spade here. The concern was warranted. And what I'll say is today, to me, was the first bad loss to a team that's like not going to a bowl game. Indiana's 9-0. Ohio State's 8-1. Okay, you can live with those losses, no matter how they happen. Losing to Illinois, who is a ranked team, tough. You could live with it.
Good point.
Today,
good point.
Hits different.
Yeah,
because this is a 2-5 team with a rookie head coach in their first year. This is a team that had traveled 25,000 miles to play on the road this year.
Right, and they didn't use that as an excuse either. But I'll tell you what. Now, Matt Rule, I'm sure in his messages to the team, they were probably similar to what he said to us, which is this is a team playing its best football. It was. UCLA looked good. I watched that Rutgers game on replay, and I just sat there in my recliner going, this is going to be a bear. These guys aren't bad at all. They're, and I heard from other media saying, oh, you got to quit saying that. They're terrible. Oh, they're not great. But you saw the guys. Those are Big Ten players. That's what Big Ten teams look like.
Yeah, but considering what was at stake for Nebraska,
Yeah.
They weren't good enough to do what they did to Nebraska,
Right.
in my
I
opinion.
agree.
Like
I
to
agree.
dominate the way that
First
they
half.
did. Yes.
The only tactical advantage they had is they were coming off a bye. I mean,
I hate that discussion,
But-
by the way.
I'm just saying they had
No, I
more
got you.
time to analyze and discuss and look at things to come up with some wrinkles. Like
Yeah,
that's
well,
the
Nebraska had a bye going into the Indiana game. How'd that work out?
not well.
not well at all.
I know I get what you're saying, Sean, completely. But I'll reiterate, UCLA should not be able to come in and I don't know. I'm trying to use like a fight analogy. Always be hitting first. Always be throwing the first punch, putting you on your heels, having you on defense all the time. I mean, on both sides of the ball. I was amazed by it, frankly. And I thought at halftime, okay, Nebraska will regroup.
13-7.
Yeah, 13-7. It was they're lucky to be only
felt like
down.
it was like 27-7, and somehow it was 13-7.
They were lucky, and I thought, okay, here's where they regroup. And what happened?
And then the first play,
Dylan throws a pick. Then what happens? UCLA's next possession, long run play, then a 48-yard touchdown pass. It's 27-7, and there's fans filing for the exits now. That's 27-7 with 8 minutes left in the third quarter, and people going to the exits, and I don't blame them.
You can't be mad. That's the norm anywhere in the country.
No, you cannot be mad at fans.
No, that's the norm.
There's no way I would. Hey, listen, at this point, after all of these years, I'm not going after fans. These fans have been incredibly patient.
That's why. I mean, that's what's kept it alive.
Right.
No doubt about it.
Can't go after them.
All right. Mark comes in. At some point, someone on the staff, the players, or the university has to want to win more than 5 games every year.
They want to.
And they trust me, they want to. And let's go to the next one. Soggy Muffin Bandit. I'm sorry.
Hello.
Whoa. The F was even that. This team looked unprepared once again. The first quarter arguably was the worst quarter in the history, and we are tired of excuses. We demand answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what's interesting, Sean? There's a lot of Satterfield talk still, but now you're talking about defense too. I mean, we can't say that Tony White's a head coach in waiting no matter what at this point. Not after what we've seen 2 of the last 3 games. I mean,
the coverage, I just don't understand, Robin. Like what are they doing to keep losing like these 3rd and longs? Like what's happening on the back ends?
And this how guys are so open too. It's not like they're just winning 50-50 balls. They're just running free. I don't get it.
The back end has been a question all year, if you really look at it.
And Bieniemy went after Jeremiah Charles.
Got him out of the game.
That first quarter on all those plays they were racking up, a lot of the key ones were right on Charles. And then you saw Tommy Hill come in and they put him on the boundary.
They threw it at Charles enough to get him out of the game in the first quarter. That was it.
And, Bieniemy's a smart guy. I mean, he coached with Andy Reid.
Oh, he's smart.
I mean, Jeremiah Charles played 1 year of high school football, and he redshirted last year. So, that's a pretty big stage to put him out there in.
I will say this about the 2-week thing, the UCLA coming off a bye week. Bieniemy's high level. Now, I guarantee you, they were schemed up really well. You saw it. They were really schemed up
in the first quarter alone.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Tony White that said that it's not necessarily he runs a system, he runs plays?
Bill Bush.
No, Bill
Bush. Thank you. Yeah. So Bill Bush said that. And that was, I thought, a perfect example. Like they identified a weakness right out of the gate. And we're not running a scheme. We're attacking 25.
100.
We're going to run plays
NFL
to attack 25.
Yeah.
And I think they just kept doing that. Same thing on the defensive end, too. They ran plays to go after Nebraska right out the gut. Make them beat you, and Nebraska couldn't.
All right. The big meatball, both sides of the ball made their team look special. I don't know how anyone can defend Satterfield today. Rule said we turned a corner, and it showed today that we have not. This was Rule's worst loss.
This Rule's worst loss.
And look, I think last year, everybody kind of gave a mulligan because of the QB situation with how poorly it went with Jeff Sims. And then they had to kind of rebound to Harburg, to Chubba Purdy, and all the things they dealt with. And they still made it interesting. Mm-hmm. But this one, I think a lot of fans felt like they were beyond from happening. Where you just come out so
uninspired,
lackluster, and they only lost by 7. But the way these
down
games,
20,
the way these games are played, though, the style, every loss is based. It's like the NFL. Every loss is going to be about a 1-score loss. Rarely are you going to see like Indiana games that often.
Those are going to be the anomaly, aberration.
A 1-score loss feels like more than this one felt like more than a 1-score loss. It didn't feel like a 1-score loss to me. All right. The Soggy Muffin Bandit. This should be the end of the sellout streak. They've already sold out the tickets this year. So I don't know if that's,
I get it though. I understand that sentiment. I know a lot of guys that I just talked to that listen, that's a subject. It's a rough one that just people losing interest.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely understand. This is not entertaining, right?
Nope.
It's stressful.
Yeah.
Here's an anecdote. So today, somebody sent me a text saying, "Hey, I can't make it to the game today. Do you know anybody that would want tickets?" And they're good tickets, like section 1, row 11, like right under the tunnel walk, like, and they were going to be free. I texted about like 15 to 20 people, like in group text and all this stuff. Nobody.
Everybody thought it was going to rain.
Nobody. Yeah. So I mean, like the rain had something to do with it, but like just imagine that.
Oh, imagine that back in the 90s.
Couldn't give them away.
Yeah, nobody thought about that.
Eventually, I had a taker, but like it took way longer than you would think it would have.
Oh yeah, Troy Dannon, I guarantee he thinks about this. Rule to a certain extent, it's not really Rule's job. His job is to win games, but in the athletic department, the marketing department, the AD, those people have to think about that apathy setting in.
Chase Woodward, bummer. The real losers are the loyal fans. Again, UCLA is bad. Honestly, I woke up this morning and I thought the Huskers would pull this one out. Peanut for Peanut the squirrel. Wrong. Rest in peace, little buddy.
Help me out with that,
Robin.
I should know this. I think there's something meme related about Peanut the squirrel.
Was there the squirrel that was in the stadium this year? There was a squirrel that kind of ran loose in the stadium.
No. Okay. So Peanut the squirrel is a domesticated squirrel that some guy in New York trained to be his pet, and it died.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy. All right. Scott's thoughts. This team is Jekyll and Hyde. What is consistent, though, is QBs coming here for their careers to die. Dylan Raiola to regress. Here's the 5-7 guys.
DR continues to regress. It's way too early to say his career's dying. It's just hit a lull. I mean, it's hit a rough patch for sure. And I think some of it, I talk to coaches as part of my job, and they a lot of them said it'll get tougher because now he's on film, and and these defensive coordinators and defensive staffs are incredibly intelligent, and now it's on film. They know how to attack him better, and they do.
That's why everybody's had the same game plan where you just blitz the hell out of them and
pressure and play man.
Yeah, and make them respond.
Yeah, pressure and play a lot of man, not exclusively man, but pressure and play a lot of man.
They trailed some Rule said after the game, they kind of trailed the pressure up the A's and the B gaps, where it was a D lineman, then a linebacker, then a safety. I mean, it was like a bus of people coming up
three-pronged, layered.
And just
that's hard.
Bam.
There's got to be a way to combat it, though. And we're not paid to combat it. We're not paid to diagnose that stuff.
The way to combat it is get rid of the football.
Yeah, but you got hot reads, and there's got to be certain things you go to that you do well. Now, it makes you wonder, did UCLA surprise them with those blitzes?
Shouldn't, because it was the same thing Rutgers did, the same thing Indiana did, same thing Ohio State did. Like, the book's out. That's how you beat Nebraska's offense. And until they find any way to combat that, they're going to have the same results.
Remember when Illinois came roaring up the A gap in the overtime? I wonder if teams see that.
Well, then Rutgers.
Hey, look at that. See, he didn't react particularly well to that.
Dylan Raiola's thrown one touchdown pass in the last month.
Yeah.
One touchdown pass.
But the thing to emphasize about the Raiola discussion is all of the shortcomings that the offense has affect the quarterback.
The receivers.
Right. And they don't run the ball particularly well, although it's, again, the last 2 weeks, they've shown some pretty good signs there. I told you I love Dodell around the 5 and in. He's a ferocious player. He's a ferocious runner, and it really manifests itself down there. That's why I say when they were at 2nd and 5, just keep hammering. Keep hammering away with Dowdell. Now, I get it. There's people right now saying, Sipple, just shut up, because it's not that simple. I got that last against the Indiana when I was saying that. It's not that simple. Well, I think it can be.
All right, let's move it in before we get to our next super chat. Thanks for joining us on Husker Online Post Game Live. We are brought to you by CHI Health. When you need heart care, know you are in good hands with CHI Health Clinic's Heart Institute providers, offering the community's most advanced heart care at CHI Health Nebraska Heart, the region's only dedicated heart hospital, located at 91st and Pine Lake Road, just north of Highway 2. The experts at CHI Health Nebraska Heart put our heart and soul, plus the latest in cardiac and vascular technologies, into caring for our community. The highly specialized team works closely with you to get you back on your feet after a major heart event or chronic cardiac condition, offering the highest level of care to keep your heart beating strong. Our heart care experts extend beyond Lincoln, too, with expert cardiovascular care at all of our 14 hospitals and heart experts who live in or travel to over 40 communities around Nebraska, Southwest Iowa, and northern Kansas. Nearly 700,000 people die of heart disease every year. Learn your heart's real age by taking an online quiz at chihealth.com/heart risk. Thanks to CHI Health for sponsoring us here on Husker Online Postgame Live. Okay, back to Scott's Tots. Why can't our receivers win the one-on-one balls? They consistently get bodied, and seeing Eric Bieniemy on the UCLA staff is so disheartening when Nebraska has nobody at OC.
We talked about that.
Yeah, the receiver play has been a problem all year.
Yeah.
The 50-50 balls. I mean, like, look at that last drive, like the drops, like Jamal Banks dropping that one over the middle. And
should have had it.
Should have had it.
Could have had that ball.
The last interception. I know it was kind of a bang play. That was a tough catch, but those are the plays that other teams make.
Yeah,
Nebraska
you would like
doesn't
to have
make
seen Harburg at least have a shot at throwing to the end zone.
Yep.
I mean, see what happens.
The Banks ball for sure. And now I think it got on Banks fast. I mean, Heinrich has a super strong arm. Maybe the ball got there a little faster than he's used to. But it wasn't even a diving catch. He wouldn't have had to. It would have been a tough catch. But come on, these are D1
hit him in the
guys who make
hands.
those catches.
He's your number one receiver.
Yeah.
All right, Bob comes in with a harsh comment here, a tough comment.
Right.
Rule is all talk. Results speak loudly. Let's go on to Kenyon Hood. Indiana, a group of 5 transfers made our highly paid guys look silly. OSU clearly sleepwalked last week. Players, coaches, all of the above fail. Too many resources spent to stay this bad. It's just embarrassing. And it does kind of lead you to an interesting discussion about NIL and paying players. Like teams like UCLA and Indiana, even Illinois, don't have near the roster value in terms of dollars spent than Nebraska.
Good point.
And look at what they're getting. And
they're getting more.
And so it's a complicated thing because I think Nebraska fans have a lot of pride and they want to be at the top of NIL. They want to be competitive in NIL. But at the same time, you've got to motivate and drive this team to play at that level.
Well, we've talked for a few years now about there's been this sort of theory that Nebraska players aren't as hungry as some others because they're treated so well here. They have everything they need, and they get here, and it's almost like they feel like maybe some of them feel like they've already arrived.
They're getting a 6-figure payment already, and
and it's not just a 6-figure payment. Look at the style of life they have here. They're in top-notch facilities. They're treated so well in the community, and this isn't a Matt Rule discussion. I've had this discussion with people since the Mike Riley years. So I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't feel like a very hungry program to me. It doesn't.
Which is crazy considering
where it's been,
how hungry it should be. Right. And the veterans on this team I don't question their hunger. Like I think Ty Robinson said, like he's legitimately upset about stuff. I believe him. Like I think that's part of it, but I also think that, there's something going on, and I don't know if it's NIL or what, but there's something within this program that when real adversity hits, they regress. And and I don't know what it is. Because maybe you just take the Indiana approach and just go full scorched earth on your roster and try to bring in a bunch of mercenaries. I don't know.
Well, they've had a lot of guys that have played 3, 4, 5+ years here, and those are the same guys that have been around for all of this.
Yeah, I don't like to put them.
But
because a lot of those guys play really good football.
Yeah, and it just hasn't clicked. It just hasn't. But all right, Kenyon Hood, Indiana turned it around in 8 months with a comment there, and yeah, that's what makes this hard.
Right.
Bowman 78 comes in. Well, gentlemen, no bowl game this year. Well, we're not. Come on, that's a little premature.
It's premature.
Wisconsin's getting smoked right now, by the way.
It's about to be 35-10. If I make it to your next remote show, drinks on me.
Thank you.
These teams need to take a serious look in the mirror. Time for some coaches to go. And our next live show, we probably are going to do one at the end of the year. So Zipline is opening a new tap room on Westo, like the original one. They've renovated and remodeled it. That's where that show will probably be, but it's got to be open and ready. So that, and it's got to feel right too. I don't want to do a show if everyone's mad.
Yeah. Well, just have a wake this season.
I mean, you can
Turn it
do
into a fight.
You can do an analysis show, though.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'd say most fans are really reasonable. You know, I'd say the vast majority of fans are very reasonable, and they just, you know what, guys? I think I wrote this. They just expect good football at this point, or they've always kind of just they want to see good football. We just don't see a lot of good football.
Today was not good football.
No, we don't see a lot of it.
Situational execution.
Right.
Like third down and long, get off the field.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good running plays.
Yeah.
Like just crisp execution in the passing game where the quarterback goes 1, 2, 3, gets the ball out.
Yeah.
Like what I've noticed with bad things tend to happen when he's holding the ball too long.
Uh-huh.
It just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got to get it out like he was early. And I don't know if that's how he's being defended, or is that a confidence thing?
Our guy's open. That's the
Our
question.
guy's not open. Yeah, and that's the hard. Okay, Marcus Anderson comes in. Thank you, Marcus. Goose 5-7 again. I miss Bo.
We don't know if it's going to be 5-7. Like Sean said, Wisconsin's getting their teeth rattled right now.
35-10 Iowa
Mm-hmm.
in the fourth quarter. That's about the worst I've seen Iowa ever beat. I mean, Wisconsin doesn't lose like that very often.
Mm-hmm.
There's the schedule. So we get a break. There'll be a bye week and a tough trip. Tough trip to USC.
USC's back on top now.
Yep, 21-20 at Washington. Oh, yeah, be really tough. Be really tough to beat USC.
All right,
obviously.
Josh Frederick. It just feels like Nebraska will never get over the hump. Even historically, poor teams have magical seasons. See Indiana. And we are just lost in the wilderness with the same results year after year.
I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to make of today. I didn't know what to make of Indiana. So 2 of the last 3 games while we're at it, I didn't really know what to make of this Ohio State game. So 3 straight games, the results really surprised me. 3 straight games. So it's hard to know what's going on.
Like the Illinois loss was tough back when it happened, but like you could live with it at that point.
Yeah.
Because
I'm sure people would like to hear us say it's hard to know what's going on.
I was like, what are you laughing at?
Well, they want us to have some answers.
It's inexplainable though for something that so many people care about can't get results.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
Right.
it's hard to explain
That it's been this bad for this long.
like nothing in the world draws 86,000 people that hasn't produced results the last 8 years.
I know, you're right.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, this team drew the most eyeballs of any college football game in America last week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's insanity. I mean, there's over 1,500.
It sort of is insane.
There's over 1,500 live viewers right now watching us.
Really?
Drink Zipline.
3 games left now.
All right,
3 games
Chris Diaz. My expectation was a bowl game this year, and it still is. All I want is one more win. Get that, and we'll regroup and see how Rule does in year 3.
I mean,
Sometimes the inconsistency works in your favor, right?
yeah.
Maybe they come out
sometimes when people don't expect you to do anything, you play the game of your life.
A la Ohio State.
Right.
Mhm. So who knows? Maybe they go to USC when everybody's going to expect them to lose by 2 touchdowns, and they go and win.
Right.
Now, Dylan's health,
Oh, yes. Dylan, touch on that.
they said it was a back injury, but he came back in and obviously immediately left before the play started.
Very strange. He came back in, and then it's like
Somebody speculated that it was a way to like stop the clock and let Nebraska have time to draw up a play. I don't necessarily believe that.
I don't think
That
so.
seems like quite
high
the quite the 4D chess
When Rule
to play that.
Rule was saying that you could feel it in the crowd that the fans were antsy that they weren't scoring quick enough. And
Right,
he said our
yes.
whole goal was to score before the 2-minute timeout, and we would have 3 timeouts. Like he knew no matter what, it was going to be 2-ish minutes that they'd have the
Okay.
ball.
that makes sense.
You know,
Makes sense.
And I mean, but everybody was nervous because it was a crap Saturday. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and you got some momentum. I mean, every drive after the pick 6 Nebraska had was 7 plays or longer. I mean, it was 7, 8, 13, 14. I mean, they have long drives
Mhm.
because
Well-
nothing came easy.
My one counter to that, though, and I feel like Nebraska tries to do too much with that. Like, so I've seen so many quarterbacks that like are struggling, but then when they get into that 2-minute situation,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden everything's simplified, you're playing with tempo,
Choo, choo, choo.
and you
It's
have like
whipping it.
route. That's
Yeah.
all you're thinking about,
Yep.
and you're not overanalyzing everything. You're not drawing up these Heinrich Harburg running back throwback to Dylan Raiola plays. You're just running a simple offense. Maybe Nebraska needs to do that. They need to play more tempo. You know what? When it's hard to blitz every play when a team's running tempo on you.
Yeah, you might have stumbled on something there. Maybe, Sean.
A young quarterback, just simplify it.
Hey, Rob, kind of like that idea, more tempo. That takes care of some blitzing, like you said.
Well, how much work in the 2 minutes did Heinrich even have? I mean, when they run that portion of practice, is it realistic that he gets a lot of work in the 2 minutes?
Well, I don't want to say no.
I don't know the answer. I just that's a tough spot for even him at that moment.
He played pretty well, and I'll tell you what, he's got a powerful arm. He drives the ball downfield. He really does that well. Now, he's not that accurate. I think his accuracy's improved, though, and I thought you saw some of that today. But his ability to drive the ball is I mean, I never questioned his arm strength.
Joshua, Frederick, Sean, like the band Creed, most Nebraskans are 6 feet from the edge. Give us some hope for the rest of the season.
Hold me now.
I think, again,
That's pretty good.
Thanks.
I think every game is going to be just like this game, one way or the other. And we knew that. It was this way last year, November. Every game in November, if Nebraska wins or loses, is going to be about like this game. And you hope they can figure out something to get at least one of them now. I mean,
I'll tell you what, I agree with you, but it is really, when you're talking about a program's progress, probably the hardest part is going from losing close to winning close. And it's, for instance, you go from losing close to winning close. It's not as big a step to winning big, but losing close to winning close is a hard step. That's the hardest step to take in the process.
well, they lost too much situationally today to win.
See, that's the thing. It's hard to get over that hump, as we're seeing. Sean, it's not that, like, I don't put a lot of credence at this point to Nebraska coming close. I mean,
because they were situationally losing third downs on defense left and right.
Right.
They were situationally getting sacked and blitzed on third and on all. I mean, they situationally weren't winning the plays you need to win to win a Big Ten game.
It's empty calories.
I mean, but then UCLA kind of played a conservative style,
which you do,
that, to try to chew some clock.
Yeah.
And it allowed Nebraska to have some moments. But man, it was like a 14-play, 54-yard drive.
Right.
I mean, 8-minute drive. Bieniemy's like good.
Yeah, exactly.
Run 8 minutes off on 14 plays.
No, seriously. It just, it goes back to the first half and then the first couple, the first 5 minutes of the third quarter when you got, as Rob said, they got in a 20-point hole. I mean, you're down 27-7 on your home field.
Yeah,
it's hard to come back from with this offense coming back down 20. It takes a near miracle. I don't mind saying that. I don't think that's hyperbole.
Yeah, scoring 27 points for this team has been a difficult task, almost an insurmountable task. Right. Like, that's kind of the cutoff where if your opponent scores around 28 points, odds are Nebraska's going to lose because the offense just can't score enough.
Well, all right. What is good out of this game? Does anybody point out anything good?
Brian Buschini.
3 punts of 50-plus yards, including a 64-yard punt.
Yeah,
but then they scored on it. They got an 85-yard scoring drive.
Well, that's not his fault.
I know, but it just, like, that moment was like great.
There wasn't a lot of superlatives on either side.
No,
I didn't notice any player on defense playing really well today.
Bullock had like 5 tackles on the opening drive.
Tommy Hill finishing out the game.
He played pretty well.
Just getting him back.
He and Bayer had a huge stop.
Got his hand on a ball.
He got his hand on a ball, but he had a huge tackle with Bayer on a third or fourth down. But I can't think of any defenders who really, where you come out and going, wow, wow, what a dude. No, I didn't see that. On offense, it's the same story. I do think Dowdell is improving before our eyes.
8 touchdowns on the year.
Yeah, he's a demon. He's a demon inside the 5.
Pull your mic up a little bit there, Sip.
Oh, sorry. But you just can't really. There's nobody you look at and go, wow. There you go. Dowdell 17 carries for 61. That's for Nebraska these days. That's pretty good.
27 carries for 111 yards for the 3 backs. I mean, that's okay. That's like getting a C+ on the spelling test.
Yeah,
it's okay.
It's okay.
You're not.
You don't want your standards to drop. If your standards, If your standards are low, you'll meet them every time.
4 runs of 10+ yards, with the long run being 14.
Yeah.
So that's where they're at. Okay, let's get in, because we got a lot of super chats, guys. I mean, I love talking to you guys.
I love you too, Sean.
But Andrew comes in. Why are we trying to pass so much? Wide receivers are getting no separation. If we go to be one-dimensional, let's stick with the ground game. No need to get away from the run inside the 5.
Oh, God.
With you.
3 downs.
Preach.
I mean, yeah, the fade route to the corner is Steve Sipple's favorite press box play.
Why do it? Why do it? Why do it?
I mean, they
So
scored
low.
a touchdown on it.
I know.
But I'm with you. I hate that play.
Well, the one
Low percentage.
I hate that play.
All right, Nate Hazard. What can you say? It's almost past the point of blaming people. Eventually, it becomes a team-wide issue. Players that truly care will step up and win these games, but it's just not happening. And,
wow, that's a good. I mean, that is. Hey, Nate, good point.
and we only heard from about 4 or 5 players, Robin. 5 or 4.
Who'd you hear from? What name them?
Gifford,
Dylan, Gifford, Ty,
Buschini,
Nair, and Buschini.
Well, credit to those guys. For
and there was no
stepping to the podium.
side interviews, just the 5 podium. And I'm guessing those players did the Huskers post-game locker room show with the network.
They
so
did.
it was
good.
kind of
Good that they were good that they did that, though. I'm not giving them too many kudos for that, but at least they spoke.
Nate Hazard. What can you even say? It's almost past the point of blaming people. Oh, I already said that one. That one. Sorry, I got a
It
little.
was so good. Say it twice.
Say it twice. Kurt Peterson.
Kurt.
NU should never lose to a 2-6 team ever. Were they 2-5?
2-5.
Okay, they're 3-5 now.
Yeah.
And look, let's recap who their losses were to, just so people. I mean,
Okay.
I mean,
Hold on. I got it.
UCLA lost to Penn State. They lost to Oregon.
And
they lost to Indiana.
That's 3 undefeated. Well, they were undefeated.
They lost at LSU.
Yeah.
So they didn't really have
And to Minnesota.
Minnesota
Really
got,
tough schedule.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like this UCLA team had a bad loss when you look at it now.
No, I was kind of surprised by some of the media. Now, not all of it, because I saw reporter Sam for the World Herald in a column wrote, or maybe as a notebook, it wrote that this is UCLA they're tough. This is a tougher game than a lot of people think. So credit to Sam. But all you had to do is watch the Rutgers game.
Well, they were tied late in the 3rd quarter, early 4th quarter with LSU.
Yeah. And they were in it. They were in the game against Penn State on the road. They were in that game. They lost 27-11, but they were in it. So I saw the athletes. I just saw the athletes and said, this is not going to be easy.
I think the narrative was set because they barely beat Hawaii, and
that was his first game. Though.
Yeah, that was right out of the chute.
Horrendous.
And then they got smoked by Indiana. And that was before anybody knew Indiana was Indiana. And so you're looking at like, wow, these guys suck. And then they go on and lose 5 straight. You're like, all right, UCLA's trash. But then that Minnesota game, I think that was where they really turned the corner. They've been a different team since then.
Watched the Minnesota game. I was at a hotel in Kansas City. I watched it in my room when my kids were sleeping. And I was like, God, they don't look that bad to me.
No.
I mean, they looked all right in the Minnesota. I mean, they got
won.
beat. They got beat in the final play.
Should have won.
All right, the BA Coaches Show. I hate football. I love Sips. Still, self-proclaimed biggest Rule fan in the world. This isn't the team I thought we had in Lincoln. I cannot lie. Thank you, BA Coaches. Let's go
thank
to
you.
Paul Jacobson, Husker Tapes, one of the great Husker fans out there. The whole offensive philosophy needs reevaluation. There's enough talent there to score more than 14, 17 points a game. I did like the velocity on Harburg's passes.
Yep.
Improved mechanics were evident. He threw darts.
Yeah, those people who see practice say he's improved as a passer. And I thought you saw that tonight.
Mm-hmm. And with the scheme, I think we've said it, like, if you want to talk about having this identity of the run game, you actually got to go do it. Like, commit to it. Be patient with it, and the results will follow.
Yeah, I don't. If I were to have, my biggest criticism of Satterfield is his lack of commitment, his lack of patience with the run game. He even referred to it in a press conference. He said, paraphrased him. He said, "I need to have more of a run first mentality." And a lot of people were struck by that. Like, wait, what? Like, why?
Yeah, you didn't already.
Don't you? You hear what your head coach says, right? So I don't know. Are they on the same page? I don't know.
Yahoo from Wahoo. I had ticks for the USC game, but just canceled all travel and selling my tickets,
Ooh,
hoping
boy.
to get 30 cents on the dollar at this point.
Hmm.
We're such a sorry, sad program. And look, that's a little harsh. I mean, we're going to go to LA and watch a football game.
Yeah, I don't think it's a sorry, sad program. There's a lot that they do right. It just needs to show on Saturdays, because that's when you get to Saturday, it's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's
That's
all that matters.
It's just so far left or far right. It needs to be stabilized. Like
Mhm.
it can't be so drastic from
Right.
I mean, that's everyone's complaint over the last several years. Like,
right. And Sean, you're talking about, when you talk like that, you're talking about a lot of programs. That's mediocre. That's mediocrity.
Mhm.
That's what that is.
okay, Randy Reddick. Last week, Rule threw down the gauntlet and said, we will see what this team and presumably the coaching staff is made of. Well,
Yeah.
now we know.
Right.
What will Rule do about it now? And the bye week, Robin, I'm really interested, like what his approach was going into this game for next week and what it is now. Will his bye week practice approach change? They've got to get out and recruit this week too. But I would imagine that you're going to see 3 pretty spirited days of work on the bye week.
You can't play like this and then back off. Like,
I wouldn't think so.
I mean, I get that you need your teams to rest and recover. They're pretty banged up right now, including their quarterback. So they got to get like that part of it settled. But at the same time, like there's so much that they have to do.
It's kind of complex though, Rob, because
And the things that they need to improve are the most physical elements of the game.
right, it's a little complex of a discussion though, because it's late in the season. It's a wearing season, and time off can be good. But I feel what you're saying. There's a fine line is what you're talking about. There's a fine line. You got to give them a little break, but it better be productive. It better be a productive week.
All right. Let's see.
You got to send messages that you got to continue to send. Those coaches got to continue to send messages to the team that this isn't acceptable, but we can get better. I mean, there's areas where we can still improve. It can't be all negative like this show. This show's incredibly negative, but it's a terrible loss. But it can't be like that over there. I mean, because that's wearing. We can be negative. We're not on the team. We're not playing. But they can't hear all negative all the time.
And look, we have nearly 1,700 people watching us because we're just trying to talk you through this. We're all talking through this right now.
That's just immensely disappointing. It's immensely disappointing. It was immensely disappointing walking over here and hearing how quiet it was in the Haymarket. Just hardly anybody around.
Yep. First home game in a month, and it's just meh.
Ooh, yeah. What is there to celebrate?
Jeremy.
Oh my God, it sounds terrible.
Jeremy comes in. Here's a bump in appreciation of the coverage so far. I'm out till basketball season. Well, Jeremy, basketball
that's
season
Monday.
starts Monday, so see you Monday.
See you Monday,
No
Jeremy.
defense of Satterfield, no matter how small, is acceptable. This isn't watchable. See you soon. We'll see you Monday. It's basketball season Monday, right?
Here we go. Here we go. Big one.
Who do they open with Monday?
Texas, Rio Grande Valley. I don't know why I said it like that.
Is that a nod to I don't know what that would be a nod to. The Texans.
Yeah,
That sounds like
The Rio
Texas
Grande.
Rio Grande. I think you'd like that road trip, Sip. There'd probably be some good Mexican food down
Their
there.
nickname's the Vaqueros.
The Vaquero.
Oh, what town in
You
Texas?
sound like the girl on Modern Family.
Sofia Vergara.
Yeah.
Which is a Mexican cattle
If
rancher.
you
I had to
looked
look it up.
It'd be a lot different deal.
She's
yeah.
Colombian.
Our
by the
ratings,
way.
our ratings would be
Colombian?
much
All
higher.
right, my
Let's
bad.
talk ball there, but before we get divorced, fired, and canceled, let's get our last ad in so we can at least get paid for this one.
Yes.
HuskerOnline Post Game Live brought to you by Homefield. And as Robin said, it's basketball season Monday. It's volleyball season. How about the ladies on
Sweep
Friday
in
night?
Wisconsin.
I was at the Denton Daily Double Bar for a birthday party Friday. We watched that volleyball game. Everybody
Nice.
was pumped.
Nice.
But you'd be even more pumped, Robin, if you had some new, fresh gear
Mm-hmm.
and you want to go to Homefield Apparel. We've got a great deal with Husker Online, homefieldapparel.com. They're going to get you outfitted with all the custom and latest gear. We're going to give you 15% off with the promo code Husker24. That's promo code Husker24 to get 15% off at Homefield Apparel. Thank you to Homefield for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online show. All right, let's try to keep moving through here, guys. Gallipolis, tired to tell you all that UCLA was underrated. Tough schedule, and we agree. We hit on that pretty hard. David, $10 million Husker roster just got whipped by UCLA's $800,000 roster. If we are going to have a Mountain West caliber coaching staff, maybe we should join the Mountain West. Matt Rule needs to take action over the bye week. And, you hear like Sipple and I talked about on HuskerOnline headlines this week about like Pat Narduzzi and what he's doing with their NIL, where instead of guaranteeing money, they're holding money.
Yeah, holding money till there's results.
Which I don't know how you can do that legally, because that's essentially pay for play.
Right.
Like,
Sean, pay for play is happening everywhere.
But and there's no enforcement.
No, I'm not gonna start finger pointing Pitt when it's happening in Lincoln. I mean, come on, come on. I mean, they what Narduzzi said was he wondered about the hunger level of his team last year. It was a bad team. They're 3-9, and all these guys were getting paid. Then coming to him and saying, "I want more money," and he said, "Wait a second. We're coming off of a bad season. You want more money? We're not doing this. We're going to do a little different now."
Well, it all will change next year with the revenue sharing money, because the $22.5 million will be infused to the athletic department, and they have to spend it. So it adds, like, when the athletic department's involved, they can't do it that way. It's going to be way more clean. I don't think like Troy Dannon's going to tell players, "Hey, if you don't perform."
I don't know.
You can't. You can't.
You can't. I wish you could.
I mean, you just can't.
I wish it was
great
more
in theory,
world oriented. What?
So it's a great idea in theory.
Yeah, it is.
But when it's documents with the university and everything that you're going to be, it's going to change a lot. But okay, Relish 78. We're single digits handed out based on good attitude, being on time, community service. For all this motivational speeches, Gifford is outclassed. Yeah. I mean, they're giving out to the respected, toughest guys on the team.
Yeah, he earned that.
He's not the only one of them that's struggling too.
No.
Mr. Mitchell Jr., this may be an overreaction, but Rule's lack of adjustments on his coaching staff is putting him on the hot seat. I really like Matt, and I think he's the guy. But at the end of the day, his staff is a reflection of him.
100%. I wonder. I mean, I wouldn't rule out, no pun intended, that he would make a move during the off week. I wouldn't rule it out. I just don't think you can. It happens. It's happened around the country. Dino Babers got stripped of play calling duties weeks ago. It's happened other places. Guys get ran. They get whacked in the season. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I mean,
nobody would like throw their hands up and question it if they did. So, I mean, that's the other litmus test you could take right now.
Yeah, there's not. No, they wouldn't. I mean, there's very sane people.
Most people would say it's about time.
Yes, there's very sane people that would nod their heads and say, "Yeah, let's see what it looks like when someone else called him." You know? Or you could just keep him on Satterfield on staff, but strip the play calling duties
and not even announce it.
Right.
I mean, there's things. Yeah, it'll be an interesting 2 weeks. That
doesn't have to be a taboo discussion.
We'll hear from Rule Monday. Typically on the bye week. We haven't heard that.
It's a fair question at this point, I think, to say, did you plan any staff changes, even if it's
assignment duties,
even if it's assignment duties, that you could ask the question exactly that way.
Let's do it.
Do you have plans on any staff changes, even if it means reassigning duties?
HuskerOnline on 3. 1, 2, 3. HuskerOnline.
I mean, it's a fair question.
team.
I feel like that's fair at this point.
At this point,
the offense has really struggled.
Yeah.
I mean, the record's not horrendous, obviously, but the offensive production has been horrendous. But
this is like an article that somebody will probably do, but you could probably pull the numbers and the data. Like, this is where, like, when Dirk Chatelain was at the World Herald, like, he'd be sitting down, pulling data of this team.
Yeah.
And comparing it to like the last 50 years of Nebraska football. And they would put together just this 1A article to tell you how historically bad this team is. And,
how bad the offense
is. The offense is, in terms of the production and points and yards.
Yep. Yeah, they're in a bad stretch.
42-10 Wisconsin. Or Iowa over Wisconsin.
Whoa. Now,
and Washington just took the lead over USC.
That Iowa game in Iowa City looks like it'll be a bear.
It's a night game. Yeah, it's a night game.
Yeah, that one, I put that as the lowest percent chance.
We'll cross that bridge, but I guess we can do the post-game show in the stadium there. I mean,
You don't have to cross that bridge right now.
well, I'm already worried the
Let's
USC
discuss.
game's going to be at like 10 p.m. Central.
We'll cross all those bridges.
All right, let's get into Luke. Go Big Red Tough. I'm ultra worried about the season ending like last season. At the start of the year, I kept waiting on all these offensive wrinkles. Lloyd, Banks, Naor, Fedoni, Barney, Dillon as a QB. We're just getting worse.
Or teams are getting and teams are or teams are getting better at defending them. A lot on film. These teams are well coached.
Ty Rosie, I feel like Rule last year got the most out of his team, but this year they have declined, seemingly getting worse each week since Colorado.
Well, mark of a good coach and a good year for a coaching staff is your team ascending as the year goes.
Mhm.
You want
You're
your
playing
team
your best
to be,
football right now.
yeah, you want your team to be playing its best football right now.
And 2 years in a row now, they've played some of their worst.
Yeah, that's damning. That's real talk. It's damning for this. It's damning for this staff, and it's unfortunate. Or it's not unfortunate. It's not a good word because it's not luck. It's just a bad sign.
Jesse G.
It's just a sign, though. It doesn't. It's just a sign. Doesn't mean it's a lost cause.
I've got about 40 more to go, and we're an hour and 11 in. So I'm just going to give you.
How are we going to do that?
Rapid fire.
We're going to probably have to move a little quicker because we want to give everyone super chat the respect.
Whip them.
Jesse G. If I'm Rule, I let go of Sat by tomorrow and put someone else in charge of calling plays. I also start playing all the young guys to develop for next year. At this point, what harm could it do?
Still playing for a bowl
They've
game.
got to get to a bowl. They need those practices.
100.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm reluctant to just go play all the young guys because there's still a lot at stake.
You don't gamble those practices.
Still a lot
away
at
to
stake.
Start playing like
You play the best guys that are giving you a chance to win. And if that's somebody else that hasn't played yet, then okay. But I'm not doing like a clean sweep of clearing out the red shirt guys and getting them reps. Like we're not there. We're not
Alan.
there yet.
Why are we so bad at clock management? I don't like players celebrating down 21 on the sideline. I just don't
I'm
understand.
surprised by that too a little bit.
What happened?
Oh, I just too much celebration when they're down 20. I mean, guys, make individual plays and get up and posture. I'm not a fan of it either, but they're kids and it's a different era, so I'll adjust.
Judy Small, I'll die or hide in my own Easter eggs before we're good.
Oh, Judy.
Okay, Judy.
All right.
Interesting.
By the way, we're sponsored by official post-game beverage
On that note.
Zipline, and Judy has had a couple zip lines. If you're not drinking one with us, did you crack your next one open, Robin? Or are you still
Not
working
yet.
on that?
Hey, I got the
Dang.
8%er.
You got to man up.
Okay.
Wow. He
Hour
just
and
challenged your man.
Hour and 13 minutes, and you're still on your first beer.
I will shotgun this beer if you want me to.
No, I'm
just
just
kidding.
kidding, Robin.
Like a Kelsey. Like a
Like a
Kelsey.
Kelsey.
Travis, how about Jason Kelsey at the Penn State game today?
Got a little heated.
Hello.
Mm.
Kyle Quinn. They need to start airing Nebraska games on Comedy Central. Seriously, if our offense could do anything to resemble anything, we'd probably would have won. Let's just not fold like last season. 5-4. Go Big Red. All right, Johnny. How do we come out so unprepared on both sides? We've kind of hit on that quite a bit already.
Keep rolling.
Let's go to Jake A. The signs have been there all year, fellas. Nebraska is barely getting wins against teams that were getting blown out in their other games. Look, again, 3 of their losses are to teams that were pretty darn good teams. Today was the outlier, but the outlier still is the schedule UCLA played. How many teams in America, if they played Oregon, Penn State, and Indiana, would win? I mean, the schedule that these guys played was really, really tough. So it's UCLA had its ups and downs, but they've gotten better, and I think we've recognized that here.
Well, there you go. I mean, UCLA looks like it's getting better. Okay, I mean that's notable. That they look like they're trending. Well, it's not. Again, I'm not saying anything crazy. Matt Rule said they're playing their best football coming in here, and they played like that.
Zap ya dumbass comes in. We are consistently inconsistent. That's on Rule. Sat needs to go. A message needs to be sent. Mediocrity and below will not be
You said
tolerated.
it. Mediocrity. That's the word. The word of the day.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what Nebraska is right now.
Yeah. The hallmark of mediocrity is inconsistency. Sean, when you say a lot of teams, I mean, a lot of teams do have wild swings. They're the mediocre ones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you'll see Texas Tech beat somebody and you'll be like, wait, how'd that happen? And then the next week they'll get whipped.
And nobody's like
Mediocre.
saying Nebraska should be 10-2.
I shouldn't have used Texas Tech. My apologies to Garrett McGuire. They're the first team that came to my head. But I mean, there's a lot of mediocre teams like
And nobody's saying Nebraska should be a 10-2 team. I mean, I think people are like, make this be a 7-8 win team that you're proud of the progress it's made. That's all anyone's asking.
right. It still could happen.
And
by
it's
the way.
reasonable. It's not unreasonable to think that should happen.
No, 7-5. I predicted 7-5. What is
Mhm.
unreasonable about 7-5?
You
Nothing.
misled us.
No,
You don't ask the tough questions to the coaches. All right, that's
7-5. I predicted 7-5. They could still get there.
I got a question for you, Sid, from Nebraska football. What's your favorite cheese?
Brie or
Provolone over here.
no,
sorry.
oh, come on, help me out. The spicy stuff that has the spices in it. The little
Pepper Jack?
yeah, pepper jack.
Yeah. I'm a Pepper Jack guy too.
Hey, my brain's a little shot. Okay,
Alan.
it's been a long day.
a long day. Alan, will we get to 6 wins? I
Yes.
think it happens somehow, some way,
Yes,
unpredictably. It's just going to happen. I think Dylan comes back from the bye, though. That's my prediction, and he'll be healthier.
Yeah. I think they somehow figured out in one of these next 3.
Judy, sitting in a multi-million-dollar facility to lose in it. Fair point. Brandon, thank you very much. Johnny, how do we look so unprepared on both sides? And we've kind of hit on that. 1810 Pepper, my friend Nick, that was my college address when I lived in my house on 1810 Pepper Avenue in Lincoln.
really. Was that a half log?
Yeah.
That
No. 27th Sumner.
Oh,
That was a 1-year rental house we lived in when my year I graduated. But tired of just got to make a play and should win if we have the ball last. Starting to sound like blaming anyone but the coaches. Rule as a CEO, act like one and make changes. In you is regressing. Thank you, Nick. Jacob, the feel in the stadium was not good. Sip, you always talk about how apathy can't happen to this program. I felt a lot of that in this game. Not good. And look,
I don't talk about that. Don't. All due respect, Jacob, I've never said that. I said that apathy. I haven't seen apathy here, but it could happen. I haven't seen it here, but it could happen.
Well, how do you think fans are going to react when you're giving up 3rd and 9s and, you get outplayed 21-3 play count? I mean, UCLA held the ball 13 and a half minutes in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people aren't going to be like, go get them, boy. I mean,
on your home field. What happened to this home field? Now, one thing you could do is figure out the record on Nebraska's home field since 2017, and I bet you'd be astonished by how often they lose here. How is it happening on your home field that you allow this to happen? There's got to be more of a pride factor.
Yeah. Another anecdote to the anecdote I had earlier about not being able to give those tickets away. I asked a couple of my buddies that have like teenage kids, like sons, they would want to go to the game. And like the dads were into it. Like, yeah, sure, we'll go to the game. And they asked their kids, the kids were like, nah. Like the younger the generations are getting, when you have kids that have spent their entire life around nothing but losing Nebraska football, that's where apathy comes in.
But go back to Colorado, Illinois, and Northern Iowa. Those night games, those tickets were going for as high as I've seen, and people wanted to be in that stadium.
Yeah, and then
it's changed. I mean, the things
but the patience for things like today, though, like those memories are so far forgotten now because it's been followed by such a disappointing football seemingly week after week. And even when they play well, they still lose.
Yeah, nothing is harder to watch when the defense can't get off the field.
Yeah.
When you see these 3rd and 9s and you're like, okay, here we go. The NASCAR package is in. They're going to get after the quarterback, and they convert it.
Right.
I mean, it's a gut punch.
This is, what's good? The good news in this, though, it's a part of Rule that is really welcome at this point. And that is, he's very affable. He's very fan friendly. He likes that part of the program. Think about right now in this moment of time, if you had Frost here, right? Think how much more bleak it would feel, even probably with a Pelini. Like it would feel much more bleak. But Rule will get to that press conference on Monday. He'll answer questions directly. You'll feel a little better if you're a fan. I guarantee you, the fans will feel a little better, not much. But
the problem is those words continue to run more and more hollow when they're not followed up by results.
I hear from people that say he's a great talker. We need to see it on the field.
Yep.
I definitely hear that sentiment from people.
Philip has a comment. We lost to a team whose coach voluntarily left to become the offensive coordinator of Ohio State. We are an embarrassment of a football program and athletic department. Thank you for those hard comments, Philip. Judy, stop the cooking classes and play football. And she's making a joke about the life skills things they do where the players learn how to cook and clean and they don't. That's what Robin's wife teaches at Lincoln Southwest.
She has culinary classes, among other things.
Move on.
Yes, next.
My mom was a home ec teacher.
Yes.
It's family consumer science now.
I don't know if there's a relation between life skills, learning, and failures on the field, but you never know.
Spencer TC, disappointment, the coaching staff's inability to prepare. The offense hasn't improved, suffering from predictable play calling, poor in-game adjustments, time management, evident. Redshirting seems unnecessary. What are your thoughts? Still 3 games to go. I don't know if there's like a guy like playing Riley Van Poppel right now and burning the year. I don't know what that does.
Malachi. Amari Sanders.
Who that's being sat out right now
would make a big difference.
I don't see anybody.
Quinn Clark.
Coleman would be the one guy just because he at least showed flashes last year. And you're talking about a receiving core that can't block.
Shoulder injury though. And he came in like he wasn't in the shape.
He didn't suit up today, did he?
No, he didn't dress.
Yeah, so
he's played in the one game where he almost blocked a punt. Yeah. So Matt, someday Sip, heartbroken.
Someday Skip.
Oh, Skip. Who's Skip?
Don't know.
We got a new guy just hired.
He gave us $20. Thank you.
Thank you. I thought he said Sip.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just calling you Skip.
He could be.
The dang IPA's got him. Bowman 78. Maybe you guys should start doing these after volleyball games. I'm telling we've talked about even basketball, but the numbers just aren't going to be there like football. I mean, we have over 1,600 people that have been on here for over an hour and a half.
Better liven it up a little bit.
Brett comes in. Why was Dylan allowed to travel to Georgia last night to see his brother play? The rest of the team has to stay at the hotel to avoid distraction. I can't confirm.
I cannot confirm that.
And I'd have a hard time believing that was the case.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't. Now, if that happened, I didn't know it.
I don't know how that would be allowed.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on because I don't want to even give that credence without proof of anything. But Judy Small, recruits are on the plane going anywhere.
Recruits are on the plane going anywhere. Recruits are on the plane going anywhere.
That's a $2 comment.
Judy, I don't know what you're saying there.
Tad comes in. No matter what, we change coaches, players, administrators for 20 years. The results look the same. Why is that?
That's the big question.
I'm laughing just because I realize that's what it's been like. I mean,
I don't know, Tad.
I know.
It's just really.
What is it about the place? Is it something about the place? That's what the question basically is.
I mean, sometimes you wonder, does the pressure of it?
Oh, I mean, all due respect, the psychology thing wears me out. Mm-hmm. Is it more about just the location? You know, the inability. It's so hard to. It can be hard to recruit. Oh, boy, people are gonna skewer me for saying that.
I don't buy into that either.
You know, because they get them in Manhattan. They get guys in Manhattan. Look, Iowa State's undefeated.
I mean,
Ames, Iowa. They are undefeated.
Yeah.
So how would Iowa State do in the Big Ten?
What about Iowa?
Yeah. Okay.
What resources does Iowa have that Nebraska doesn't? They won by 32 points tonight.
Well, I had a coach tell me,
yeah, it's a very weak excuse.
Nebraska in the Big 12 right now would be, record wise, significantly better. Like they
in the Big 12.
Look at Colorado.
Yeah.
I mean, Colorado could go 10-2,
mm-hmm.
9-3.
It'd be better.
They'd be better, but
They might have 2 extra wins.
But as a Nebraska fan, you wouldn't be fulfilled because you want to be at the big boy table.
And we are at the big boy table, boy. And you saw it today. That's a bottom feeding Big Ten team, and you saw what it looked like. I respect the Big Ten so much just watching warm-ups of these teams. When you look down there, Rob, when you're sitting there with me, UCLA is formidable. I mean, think about it. Those are great athletes in Southern California going to that program and other places too, but they weren't small.
Well, their offensive coordinator was an OC for a Super Bowl.
Right.
I mean, it's not like they have
yeah, they're not small and slow. They're big, fast, strong guys. I mean,
this isn't Purdue when Nebraska joined the Big Ten.
No, this isn't Darrell Hazel.
Like this is not Illinois.
Could be Darrell Hazel actually, Foster, but
but you think about the early years of the bottom feeders, they were bad.
Yeah. This isn't Woody Woodenhofer bringing Missouri here, and you could just see slow. Like those Missouri teams back in the Big 8 days, you could see a plodding team, and you're just like, how's that even work? That's not UCLA. They weren't a plodding team. They're pretty good.
Alec Lake, is Nebraska one of the worst run programs considering the discrepancy between resources and performance?
Well, I mean, I don't think that's the case, but I understand the question. No, I don't think they're one of the worst run. I think you can overreact to a loss like this, but it just seems like a valid question because of everything we've suggested that's happened here for so long. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, just sheerly out of return on investment,
right?
I mean,
right.
You can make that case. I don't agree with it, but like the amount of money spent on Nebraska football and the results that it's generated, it's very few, I think, that are in Nebraska's territory.
Luke, last one, not negative here, but PJ Fleck doesn't miss with a worse recruiting and less fan support. Why can Minnesota players make plays? Is it truly the O-line?
I don't know, but that's a great question. How can Fleck do it there? They don't pay their players like Nebraska does. They don't have the fan support that Nebraska does. They don't have the tradition that Nebraska does. Why has Minnesota been so much better? How's Fleck done against Nebraska? Really well.
Owned them.
And look at what that program's doing right now. They are bowl eligible.
When you go to a game there, Rob and I talk about this. It's much more casual, carefree, jolly, fun. Like, I mean, here, just like Ohio State last week, it's stress.
I know, but isn't that it? I always turn that conversation to that's what you want.
No, I know.
If you're a player, don't you want it to be at a
players?
place?
I feel like it affects how they operate. Like they feel the crowd.
Can't you just turn the wrench on that a little bit and say, isn't that what you want?
Yeah, well, it hasn't happened for 8 years.
A caring fan base. Why is that a negative?
No, I'm not saying the fan base is a negative, but for some reason, this microscope, this pressure, has somehow it gets in the head of how you think.
Maybe that's a theory.
That's my theory.
Yeah, it's a theory. You have no real.
I think there's plenty of pressure at other schools. They just, they have better players and have had better coaches.
I get where you're coming from, Sean. I've often wondered about it, but it's impossible to prove.
Well, the other unique angle of Nebraska is there's so many local players. So then there's more aunts and uncles and grandparents and cousins and close friends that chime in and that have interest in things. That's not the norm at a lot of places at the level it is here, where you have so many people curious about every detail.
Once again, I give you Ohio State.
Yeah, but those players are from everywhere around the country. Do you think they're coming from Georgia. I mean, they have Nebraska's core players are from here.
This discussion goes nowhere because I would counter that by saying, yeah, if you bring in a bunch of players from outside, they don't have near the level of caring for the tradition and, and the in and all that means to the in-state people. It's just a round and round discussion that goes nowhere. But again, I just go back to Ohio State and that tension to which you referred to in the stadium last week against Nebraska. And oh God, maybe that tension would be debilitating to them. And that now they're going to go into a tailspin. No, they don't. They have the mindset that we'll just go to Happy Valley and win. Go to freaking Happy Valley and win a huge game, not make excuses about, the tension. Oh, the PFF grades. Just go get in the
Like, who
A
the hell
gap.
cares about the PFF? freaking
Get in
grade?
the A gap.
I don't
and
understand
make the tackle.
why guys worry about that.
Well, I don't either. There's championship programs where they probably still worry about it a little bit there too, but somehow they overcome it.
Asian Joe, without the 3 unsportsmanlike penalties, what would the final score have been?
Yeah.
See you guys at USC, only because I need to cross it off my Big Ten stadium.
Good job,
list.
Asian Joe. Have fun out there.
Chris Diaz, in your opinion, is the Indiana model or Nebraska model better for building a championship team long term?
That's the qualifier, because I don't know what Indiana's model is going to be long term, like how sustainable what they did this year is.
Will they have a full, and will they be able to do a full 22.5 million? Like, what will, I mean, I assume so, but how will they allot that money? Because I'm guessing
At a basketball
the
school.
basketball people are going to want more.
Oh yeah,
Good point.
So that's the challenge.
Good point.
Like, what if Signetti gets them to the playoff? Indiana basketball hasn't been to a Sweet 16, Robin, in a long time.
Well,
and do we think that he's a lifer at Indiana? Like,
No.
he's going to win there for maybe
gonna
this
go to
year and a year,
Auburn.
and he's going to go take an SEC job.
Let's
He
go
might
to
get an
Auburn.
SEC job this offseason.
Yeah.
So, like, sure, that model worked for him this year, but then what happens?
Right.
What do you do after this season?
100.
Tori
100.
Juarez, Sad is not the man for the job. If I were him, I would have thrown a screen pass the first play just to piss off the fans. I feel like the staff is reacting to the fan base more than the players. And by the way, I don't know if we got a bad screen. Like, it's almost like they read that stuff out there and they said, we're just not even going to call one today, because they didn't call any.
Did they call one? I don't know.
I mean,
if
they
did.
might have, but they didn't get blown up like last week.
There were a couple short passes in the flat that got blown up that you heard a little bit of the booze.
That's right.
But it wasn't nearly what it was a week ago.
Revered Rule and the Gospel of Gimmicks. Thank you. Kodiak Bear. Rule got out coached by a running back. What is the issue with the X's and O's with this
I don't know.
staff?
I don't know. I thought it was pronounced today, though. I did.
And
Come on. How do you think? How would you? Well, I'll just put it this way: how did you feel about Eric Bieniemy today and the way he operated?
Looked pretty good.
I mean, don't make it harder than it is. What that offense look like to
he
you?
came in like a freaking dude.
Yeah.
And like didn't give up.
Yeah, I'm not saying necessarily that Tony got out schemed, but I will say this: Bieniemy came in with a great plan.
And the players executed it.
Yeah.
And they tacked it.
All right. Dr. Kenny Burson, well-known the dentist out of Denver, Colorado, chimes in here. Good friend of mine from growing up in high school.
Wow.
They seem to be missing a swagger or a fire.
Yep.
They seem to come in out flat outside of Colorado. Maybe we need Terrence Crawford at every game.
Mhm.
Maybe Rule is only a good coach as a third year.
I don't know.
Kodiak Bear.
But boy, this place was juiced for a Colorado, and you haven't seen the same juice.
Mm-mm.
Raiola can't see the field. And really the second half, guys, of the Colorado game, they didn't score.
Mm-mm.
So you think about second half of Colorado game, how poor that was.
Mhm.
Really the final quarter and a half of Illinois.
Northern Iowa game, I mean, they won by 30, but it was just kind of a weird 30. Like, they didn't look great.
Let's go back to the old Mark Farley comments. I mean,
Yep.
he saw Nebraska and their flaws then. They just didn't have the
Yeah, he wasn't overly impressed.
Kodiak Bear. Raiola cannot see the field, wide open receivers, and he doesn't see them.
Ooh, missed a few today.
And he holds the ball too long. He knows his line isn't the best. On the interception pick 6, he missed Fedoni, right, Robin?
Yeah, wide open. He even said it. Like, so Fedoni was his first read and said he went to Banks, and he floated it. Guy jumped the passing lane, touchdown.
He missed a few open guys for sure.
How
We
many
have a
like guys
great
in the
view.
flat were just running wide open? Would have been
Yeah.
first downs, and he's throwing to a guy that's covered a little bit further downfield. Like, he's almost forcing the longer throws and not taking the easy ones that are right there for him.
Right. When I say he's missing open throws, I don't mean he's misfired. I mean he's not seeing.
Yeah.
Or he's choosing to go another direction.
Nighthawk 467. There won't be many games like Indiana, but Indiana hasn't played in one score game yet. I'm not sure I agree with the close game idea
What's that mean?
that basically all the losses are going to be close.
Oh,
Well, they've been close since
Yeah.
Frost has been here. Every loss has been like this.
except Indiana.
I mean, you think about all the losses since Frost, they've all almost been about like this.
Almost. Yeah.
Alex Becker, should other offensive staffers be on the hot seat, not just sat? And again, that's hard. I mean, we don't even get access to these coaches anymore. Like as far as like during the week
Well, more importantly, we don't get access to practice.
or practice.
Not that we've ever got in-season access.
But the offensive results on offense, I don't know why anybody would be out of that discussion. I mean, it's a staff issue right now.
Yep.
No, there's nothing about that offense that's operating well right now.
Right.
Bowman 78, USC and Wisconsin look bad today. Nebraska will fix that. Wisconsin blown out today. USC currently losing here right now in the fourth quarter. Colorado Husker. Why do you even attend the press conferences if you don't ask any pressing questions? How do you not ask about the Satterfield job security?
Pressing questions. We do ask pressing questions.
Look, he's not going to fire. I mean, like he's not going to address that. Like if you ask him in that way, like I don't understand what they want. They want us to like. I get the emotion and the anger, but it's not going to solve anything.
Well, but we can ask. I think on Monday, if there is a consideration. No, if there's a consideration to make moves, even if it means just switching up duties. I think that's fair.
Shuffling assignments.
Yeah. I don't think that's unfair.
I don't either, especially at this point and given what the season has become thus far.
Jacob Campbell, earlier in the week, Rule said we'd learn a lot about him and the coaches during the game. What do we learn?
Yep.
They got work to do.
Yeah, that's what we learned.
Chris
They're ways off.
Larson. All right, guys, should we hold out hope for the staff or start over again, knowing they'll be back next year regardless? It's a tough discussion. Micah comes in. Rule needs to take a bye week and seriously look to get rid of the atmosphere and ineptitude around the program. It is annoying to watch. And
he's got to ask some tough questions to himself.
It started with the defense today, though. I mean, the offense had a 3-and-out, but then the defense was on the field for like 24.
Couldn't get off the field. Sean was beside himself. You just got to think back. Covering football is odd to me in a lot of ways because you almost have to remind yourself of some thoughts because the games are so long. And then the post game, it seems like the game was yesterday. Sean, remember how frustrated you were in the first half that Nebraska's defense could not get off the field, that you said you wanted to throw something down to the field. That's what he was so frustrated. He said, I just want to throw something down on the field. You were frustrated. I could see why. They couldn't get off the field.
They couldn't win in coverage. They couldn't win the line of scrimmage.
Right.
They couldn't.
It's not just an offensive issue.
When every quarterback that plays Nebraska's defense just makes these 3rd and 12 throws, and it's just like, I mean, he's getting like pressured and they just freaking like zip. I mean, it's like, why is it always against Nebraska?
And why? And how did he fit that ball in there? I mean, it's just like, yeah, it's really disappointing.
Ryan Thomas, the slowness changes the game completely. Our Mariota is not being utilized effectively. All right. Scott's Tots. Viral video of PSU fans shouting at Franklin to be fired. He even confronts fans in the stands. Be careful what you wish for at PSU. 7-1 sounds glorious.
Yeah, the heat is on.
Going on? Is that going on?
The heat is on because he's not winning big games.
Right.
And Penn State's always kind of that also ran behind the Ohio States or Michigan.
Behind the big boys, yeah.
Yep.
Now it's Oregon.
Yeah, now it's
okay.
Oregon.
He confronted fans in the stands.
I didn't see it, but I'm going to go look it up as soon as this.
Ooh, hello,
Megan, find that for us. That's your assignment. You can find
hello.
That. Mac comes in. Thank you. Here is $1.99 for the hump. I just say Mac because I don't even know how to Mac Y Nin V me.
This is pretty good.
Simplify the name there, Matt. Is there something I'm missing there?
He just gave you $2.
Yeah,
thank you, Mac.
That's for the hump.
Ryan comes in. It's not complicated. Our offense flows anytime we are in a hurry, even outside of 2 minutes. The offense honestly plays 80% of the time, just like Sat's press conference. Energy, stale, sloppy, slow energy.
Tempo. I'm calling it.
Okay.
All right, here's the Penn State.
Simplify
here's
and
the
tempo.
Penn State video here. Let's see what Megan's got.
Who's yelling at him? This guy in the green? No, look at that dude. Just some jackass.
I mean, why give this kid the time of day?
Well, it's the guy's feeling pressure. This guy's feeling it. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
The
yeah,
band and the
hey,
cheerleader.
that's not good.
Yeah, the sad cheerleader. Oh, that's
hey. That's
that's
not
a bad picture.
No, you don't want that going on. Hey, James, just walk. Just walk to the locker room. People are yelling stuff. I've seen it in Nebraska. You've seen it in Nebraska when coaches are walking to the tunnel.
Well, you got to remember the bunch of those dudes are like Eagles fans. So like that's what they do.
Andrew,
They make life hard on you.
this team is just allergic to success no matter the chances they get for a 6 win. Yeah, Nebraska's got an allergy. It's a 6 win.
7 straight losses with a chance to clinch bowl eligibility.
They're allergic to the 6 win. Tyler Redwine, we love you, brother. Thank you.
Hi, brother.
You are the best, Tyler.
Tyler, you are the best.
Lance.
Tyler
comes
is
in.
extremely, what's the word I'm looking for? Creative.
Tyler's awesome.
Yeah.
Lance Johnson comes in. Wide receivers can't get open to save their life. Hiring a 26-year-old wide receiver coach was a mistake. This is the Big Ten, for goodness sake. All right, Lance. Ben, thank you. Adam, no excuse today. Should have been able to beat a 2-5 team at home.
I agree.
Agreed.
100.
Brock,
100.
we mocked Iowa's point benchmark
Yep.
last year. NU
Yep.
is failing to meet that this year.
Oof.
Teams are putting up points all across the country with much less.
Fair.
Scott's Tots, the coach that needs to go is McGuire, but Rule won't make a change because of who his dad is. Unfortunately, Nebraska should trade him to Texas Tech. Ben Z, from the first drive from our seats, you could hear intensity and urgency from UCLA staff. Nebraska's sideline felt dead from the get-go.
UCLA had bounce. They had bounce. They came in here with bounce. Impressive. They come in here with suits too. Do you notice that?
Mm-mm.
They come in here with they all wear the same suit. And it looks very good. They're grayish suits.
Like a real suit, not like a
real suits.
windsuit.
No, not a windsuit. I mean a real suit. They all have the same ones. It looks very Big Ten.
I was going to make fun of them because their coaches are wearing like coats. It's like 55
I wouldn't make
degrees and they're
fun of
wearing
them.
coats.
I'm not making fun of them
Yeah.
right now. That was a
Toughness was not an issue.
No, Foster. I mean, come on. Look what Foster's done here of late. He went to Rutgers and won across the world, and then he went to Lincoln and won. That's pretty good. Say what you want about Rutgers. You went across the country and won a road game.
He went to Hawaii too.
Then you came back and won in Lincoln. I'm not gonna.
And he played in Baton Rouge.
Foster's
too.
starting to look pretty good to me.
All right, Jack, you guys see 6 wins. How
I do.
I think it will happen.
Get one more.
Mac,
They'll figure it
why NV me? We are down but not out. Harburg did well. Thank you.
I think you said it's why envy me.
Oh,
Why
God
envy
dang, I
me?
just fell into that one.
Why envy me?
Yeah. Why would you envy me? Why envy me?
Spark Adventures comes in. Maybe this program cannot be fixed.
Come on.
Randy Fishbeck. The low today was when the fans were getting loud to get the O to save clock, and the players in the huddle asking for the fans to be quiet. Then it got louder.
Rule addressed that too. He said that was their plan. They were intentionally slowing it down because they knew the game was going to play out the way that it did, where they would get the ball back with time to score. I personally didn't agree with it. I think they're not in the luxury to just think that they're going to go win it in 2 straight possessions, just the way that offense was playing.
Well, frankly, the way the defense was playing,
Yeah.
they got
Well,
the
the defense was getting stops in the second
but they
half.
got the 4th and 2.
At that point, the way UCLA was trying to be predictable running the ball, they stopped throwing. In Nebraska,
They did, but Sean, you know what happened on 2nd and 8 when UCLA on its final possession? They got that downhill run that they pitched it to that guy. And he got downhill. Hell, he almost got the first down. That'd be ball game, right?
So UCLA,
Right?
their
Mhm.
final 4 possessions, 7 plays, 32 yards, 3 plays, 3 yards, 3 plays, 9 yards, 1 play. So that doesn't count. That's the nail down, but they did. Nebraska did actually have their best defensive success, but the enemy was in the 4-minute offense.
Yeah.
right.
So it's a little misleading when you do that. Okay, did I skip one?
So
here?
USC loses another close game, 26-21 to Washington. And that fan base, I'm sure, is already sick of we're coming close. Because that's what's happening at USC. They're not getting blown out. They're coming close. But they can't get over the hump.
4-5 and 2-5 in Big Ten.
I'm telling you, progress, the hardest part of progress is turning close losses into close wins. That's the hardest part.
We got a few more left here. Mac, why you envy me? I'm still hearing bad coaches since Osborne. Then Mac had one more. Zipline, yes, we got 6.
All right.
All right, 100 and Quattro
Bahina?
Bahina.
Thank you very much. And then he comes in with a question: what is the story and the truth behind Tristan Elvano? He's hurt.
Yeah, it's
He had growing surgery.
yeah.
in August.
Was it groin or
Sports hernia.
So I mean, that's just one of those deals that some guys like. Didn't Gifford have that last year and he played through it?
Kicker, a little different.
Yeah. So I'm saying like it's one of those injuries where like some guys can fight through it, some guys can't, especially when you're a kicker and it's your swing leg.
But probably a wear and tear. I better be careful.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
for sure.
All right, our final super chat. What was your opinion on the time management at the end of the game? It felt like it took 30 to 40 seconds to get a playoff every snap.
What was your opinion?
And I will go through the logs of plays here on those final possessions because, I mean, people have a point. Nebraska's turnover on downs possession, a 12-play, 65-yard drive that resulted in no points, was 5 minutes and 42 seconds. Their touchdown drive was 13 plays, 53 yards. Nebraska ran 8 plays inside the 10, 8 plays, and it was a 6 minute and 1 second drive. Then their final drive was 11 plays for 42 yards. And it was
how much time consumed?
1 minute and 53. That was the 2 minute.
Okay.
But it was a microcosm of the day, how hard the day was.
Well, it's an example of what Rule has said about the offense, and I think it applies in this discussion. Everything is difficult. It seems like they don't get anything easy. You never see a guy sprinting off to the end zone.
Like you never see a deer just running in the field.
Right.
I mean, it's just
very good.
Like you wanted to see somebody just running like a deer down the state. And like
a
Fedoni,
loose deer.
I mean, we always joke when Fedoni gets hit. I mean, it's like a car crash.
Right.
I mean, it just gets
like UCLA had it in the, I think it was the third quarter. What I was talking about when they went up 27-7. They got a long run play followed by a 48-yard touchdown pass. A 48-yard touchdown pass where the receiver was running wide open.
Well,
and the ball was perfectly placed, and he danced into the end zone. You don't see Nebraska do that.
UCLA's safeties played so deep too that
every team does.
It's hard to get big plays when you do that, and Nebraska doesn't run it well enough, so they're going to keep playing those safeties back.
Yep. Blitz, drop your safeties back, play press man on the perimeter, make Nebraska figure it out. And they're not figuring it out.
There's the book. Well, guys, hour and 45 minutes in, we had over 1,700 live viewers. So
I think we cut it off though.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. It's the bye week.
The old man's tired.
We will have normal shows probably Tuesday, Thursday, with Husker Online show and Husker Online headlines. But thank you for getting through post game live. If you're not a member of Husker Online, we got a promo as well. $40 off. If you want to give us a try, use the promo code Husker40 to receive $40 off an annual subscription. That's the best deal you're going to find right now to Husker Online. For Steve Sipple, Robin Washett, I'm Sean Callahan signing off here for Husker Online Post Game Live.